got here, you've probably just seen some footage, drone footage and stuff like that on the intro, so you've got an idea of what the car looks like. It's an 07 Citroen Grand Picasso. Now I've had this car for about 18 months. I bought this from a guy and I paid just over £1,000 for this 18 months ago. So it just had a new MOT. The MOT was in March, so it's just had another MOT recently. So you've got a good, what is it now, March, April, May, June, 9 months trouble-free motoring you're going to have from this vehicle. Since I've owned it, I put some tyres on it. That's probably about it. Put some diesel in it and a bit of oil now and again. Check the water. So I'm going to run through a few of the features on the car, how to start it and that sort of thing. When I first got it, I was like, I'd never had anything quite like it before. It's a semi-automatic with a Triptronic. It's not like a conventional automatic gearbox though, and that is one of its little quirks, is it always judders when you're taking off in first gear, no matter how smooth you try and do it. And apparently it's a common fault. I googled that and lots of people asking how they can stop it. Lots of people with bright ideas on how to do it. Nobody has had the answer. So that's just something you learn to live with. And yeah, I mean, you do learn to live with the vehicle. It's got a few little inconveniences, things that are wrong with it, and they're just things that don't really bother me anymore, and I've just got used to them, and that's just the way it is. Now I've got this vehicle because it's so big, it's huge. It's a 7-seater, but if you want it for a 7-seater, then forget it, because it's no good for a 7-seater. Back 2 seats, they fold down into the floor. When I got it, I went to pull them up and they're broken. One of them I think is okay, the other one doesn't work. The runners have gone on it, so that's just stayed under the floor. But that's fortunate, because I didn't want it as a 7-seater. I wanted it as like kind of a big load carrying vehicle, so I can get lots of stuff in it when I was moving house furniture and stuff like that. And it's cavernous, the boot on it. It's amazing what we managed to get in. It's got roof bars, so you can put a box on. Leaving the roof bars on, they come off a Volvo estate actually, purely because I can't find the ratchet to get them off. So yeah. And it's if you wanted to remove them, and you could do fairly easily. It's just a matter of buying an Allen key thing off eBay for a few quid. But I can't be bothered with that. Tyres, I say I put new tyres on it not that long ago. I'll go around in a minute, you can have a look at the tyres. So yeah, I won't wrap it on anymore. I'll be wrapping on in a minute when we go for a drive. So I'm going to have a little video round and show you a few features. Okay, so this is the front passenger side. You can see got some good tread on them tyres there. They are alloy wheels. They're not the best and prettiest in the world. Here we are. This is the passenger side rear. As you can see, got a good amount of tread left on there still. We'll go around the other side. And now you're looking at the driver's side rear. Whiz along, and there's the front. As you can see, I've put some wet look dressing on the tyres after I cleaned it. So one of the things that was wrong with it, and still is the mirror. So as you can see, it's cracked, the plastic. So I've just taped it up basically, and it's all working okay. It's a foldable mirror, it just still folds. Lights, the indicator repeater light works, and there's a little light underneath there. I don't know if you can see, that's like a courtesy light, that works as well. So I didn't see the point in having a load of hassle trying to change it. So here's the headlights. So in my opinion, they're a little bit hazy, but they'll buff up if you really want them to. They pass the MOT okay. This one has actually got a bit of condensation inside, but as I say, it passed the MOT, and if you're really worried about that, you can soon dry that out. The number plate, you see the corners missing on there, but again, it passed the MOT, so no hassles. There's not a lot of bodywork blemishes, but there again, I'm not very fussy. I mean, you might be able to see there's a few little marks where we've been around on the lanes, and maybe little branches caught it or something, and the hedge when you've pulled them to the side a bit, but nothing considerable. This is probably the worst. There's a bit of trim missing from there, and as you can see on there, there's just a little scuff, but you know, that was there when I had it. It didn't bother me at all. So I think that's the whole way round now. We'll have a look inside now, shall we? Okay, I'm going to start in the back. Now these seats fold in so many different ways, and they're so versatile. I've never actually completely figured them all out. Okay, so there's a lever underneath the front here, which means that they can go backwards and forwards, which is very handy. There's a release on the top here, which allows it to do that. Now, those can slide up, and you've got all that room there. Put it back down again. Right, so there's a lever here, there's a pulley here, which you can use to fold that forwards. Now that's too far back, so it's not going to go. And then you've got a full bed there. It's very, very versatile. There's lots of room in it. As I say, I used it a lot for moving a lot of furniture and bits and bobs for work and stuff like that. It's like having a van, but with the comfort of a car. But if you're a family person, you've got lots of kiddie winkles, it's perfect. We've got picnic tables on both of these back of these chairs here. All these are just up and down. I don't know if you can see, but behind me here we've got these things, window blinds. So if you've got your little one in the back here, you can stop the sun from beating down on their poor little pale skin. Pop them back up again. I'm going to come around and adjust the corner to show you this. This is for your rear passengers. You've got rear ventilation, separate controls for a fan and what have you, and then you've got a control panel in the front where you can isolate the rear and the front as well. Let's go down to the back so you can see it's cavernous. Now this car would originally have had air suspension. It's been changed. I'm going to just go in here. There's a little button here, and that's so that you can raise and lower the suspension on the back. But the air suspension has been changed, and it's now got springs, which is one of the jobs that the guy had for its last MOT. So you do get a warning coming up on the dashboard that says suspension faulty. Basically the computer hasn't been altered, so it doesn't know that it's actually okay. Okay, so I'm 6'2", and I find it so spacious. All the way back, obviously that restricts the rear passengers. Okay, so I'm going to probably bring that camera in here so you can see all of this lot, and I'll talk you through on how to start it. Hopefully this is going to work okay. So this is about a downside to the vehicle. That's the only key. Doesn't really work on the remote control for the buttons, because as you can see it's just a knackered old key, but it works the car, which is the main thing. So on entering your vehicle, so as you'll notice, you've got a central display here. It's all digitized. You'll notice that it's flashing. And that's because after about 10 minutes of being switched off, it all loses its memory. So if you set the clock, there's no point, because it'll just forget. But it doesn't affect the vehicle, how it runs. It's just an inconvenience. So as I say, it's automatic. So you've got your gear selector up here. You've got reverse, neutral, automatic, and then manual. When you're in manual mode, you've got two flappy little panels just here, which allow you to change gear manually. which is sometimes handy if you want to give it a bit of welly, get up a hill, and you want to drop down a gear early. That's a good way to use that. And you can actually change between manual and automatic when you're driving along as well, which is handy. But to start the vehicle, it needs to be in N for neutral. And on the dashboard, there's a little picture of a foot on a pedal. That means you've got to have your foot on the brake pedal to be able to start the vehicle. And then it's just a matter of starting the vehicle. So when you obviously go into automatic, it then says A1. So you're automatic 1, or if you go down into manual, it just says 1. Obviously reverse gives you an R. It's got reversing sensors, so you've got a little diagram there, and audible warnings as well, which you can disable if you want to on the control panel just down here if you don't want to hear the beeping. Okay, so let's switch it off. On the console here on the steering wheel, you've got a limiter, speed limiter or regulator, which is basically cruise control. And then cruise control occasionally works, but not every time. Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't, so I don't know what that's all about. On the other side, there's volume controls for the stereo, fast forward and mute. And then there's the menu system to be able to go into settings for different things in the dashboard. Vehicle will come with the handbook, which will give you all of the ins and outs on that. The stereo is actually quite nice, quite a good stereo. I quite like that. It's just got a single CD player and radio, nothing fancy. We've got a glove box down here, which is refrigerated, but I've never had the air conditioning charged, so I don't know how efficient that would be with air conditioning. These two up here, I don't know if you can see that with the video as it is, but yeah, you've got two cubby holes up here. Now this is another not a very good particular feature of the vehicle, in as much as the plastic trim has been in the sun and it's buckled a little bit up at the top there, which is a bit unsightly. You might be wondering where the handbrake is. Now that was one of my big questions. The handbrake's up there, it's an electronic one. Put the ignition on again. So you can see it's illuminated red. So to be able to control the handbrake, it's either automatic, so it switches itself off when you move away. If you want to take it off manually, you have to put your foot on the brake and pull the little lever, and you will hear the brakes release and the light will go out. So now the brakes are off, so it will roll backwards. And again, to put it on, pull it with your foot on the brake, and there you go. Yeah, apart from that, just forget you've got it and it's all automatic, as long as you've got your foot on the brake, just to help along the way. The controls for the air conditioner if we had it, and the air circulation and ventilation is all on this side here. And I'm not going to run through all of that. That's going to be something you'll have to read about in the book. But yeah, interior lights will work, although as I say, it loses its memory. So when you come back to the vehicle, until you put the key in the ignition, that's when the light will work. So it's a bit strange. But it's inconvenient, but it's such a good car, such a reliable car. It's never let me down. It's never not started, it's never broken down, it's never had anything significant go wrong with it either, just needing new tyres and things like that. So let's go for a little drive and you can hopefully get a feel for what it drives like. Fortunately, we live on quite remote, and it's so there isn't any main road where I can get up to speed, but it is good at speed. It doesn't vibrate or anything like that when you get over 50. There's no wheel bearing, drones, nothing like that. Okay, so that little noise, that beep, got the car here. That little peep you just heard was a little service light that came on, and also it's saying suspension faulty. Now that's, I think I mentioned it earlier, the air suspension being swapped over. Okay, so it's just changed up to third gear now. It's quite lovely. Just gear ratios are quite well matched, I think. Never feels like it's labouring in it, and very often doesn't feel like it's over revving either. it does change up and down quite readily. It's not the most powerful vehicle in the world. It's a 1.6 diesel, so it's, you know, it's a big old vehicle. So it doesn't win any prizes for acceleration, 0 to 60 or top speed. It's got 4 electric windows, they all work. Electric mirrors. The mirrors, when you lock the door with the key, central locking works obviously because the ignition has been on, and then the mirrors fold in, which is handy. But when you come back to the vehicle after you've left it for more than 10 minutes, you will open it and the central locking won't work. So you'll open your driver's door, get in, put your key in the ignition, and then all the doors will unlock and your mirrors will unfold. It's very weird. I'm looking for a straight little bit of road here. Do a bit of B-roll.